This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
Very pleasant good morning. It's 11:07 at WPSL 1590, the talk of the Treasure Coast. And you're on Never Alone from Harborplace with Ms. Pat Miles. And Pat, a very pleasant good morning.
A pleasant good morning to you too, Greg.
It has been a while. Yeah, it has been too long. So how is your world at Harborplace?
It's good. It's good. We've been busy. We have we have a couple good events coming up this month, so I'm excited about. We're going to have the Understanding the Veterans Aid and Attendance Benefit on October 12th at 1:30. It's a Thursday. And then we're going to have a spooktacular event at the end of the month on Halloween. We're having our buffet. So come and tour our community and then enjoy our buffet. It's not a trick, it's really a treat.
A buffet. I love it. That's wonderful. That's great. That's great. But you are getting a return engagement of the Taylor Swift of Veterans Benefits, Dwayne Levesque, huh?
Yes, that's correct.
And he's shaking his head.
Oh no.
Oh my.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And we already have some RSVPs from the last show.
Oh, good.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's good to hear.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now here's a question. If I'm able to draw a Taylor Swift type audience, how many are we going to be able to handle before we break the fire code over there, Miss Pat?
I say 125.
If they show up in that kind of a response, we're going to have to hold it outdoors, and that's okay with me. I'm good with it. So.
Well, the first 1,000 through the door get an autographed picture of Dwayne.
Well, there you
Right.
go. Yep, that works for me. All right. I'm going to bring plenty of pens.
Absolutely.
Going to order some Sharpies.
So, Dwayne, I know, it's so funny because whenever you're on, we get calls right after the show. And again, what the information that you have for folks is so very important.
That is so true. And, and the amazing thing is that this program's been around since 1954. So we started this organization 25 years ago because nobody knew about it. And we're still fighting to get the word out about this benefit program, because unless you know somebody who's experienced it, which I get a few calls. Hey, I got a call from somebody here the other day. It was a prior case that I helped, and they finally told a friend, hey, your mom, your dad needs this, call Dwayne. And now I'm starting to work with them. But it seems by word of mouth is the way this program spreads. And the word of radio is definitely helping that word. And having these presentations live is also a benefit, to have somebody like me with our company's knowledge and experience coming in to speak about it. Because that's something also that some of the Johnny-come-latelys out there, they're not able to do that because they don't have people on the ground like our organization does, that when we're here and working with our veterans, we have a representative right here on the ground that you can call and talk to and meet with and ask your questions if need be, to go through and learn whether you can qualify or not, because that's the big key in getting that information out and helping them with that. So I'm very happy to be back over at Harborplace next week and doing a live presentation like the good old days and drawing some people in there so we can educate more people so they can go out and tell somebody who will tell somebody who will tell somebody, and we'll find the person that really needs this and can hit that point that we can get them in there and get them their well-deserved benefits so they can live comfortably for the remainder of their golden years. So that's the goal.
Well, it's amazing to me, Pat, that it has taken really this long after the whole COVID mess that we can actually get these presentations going again. You know, it's really refreshing.
Yes, absolutely. And we're excited about it too. It's always nice to educate and bring new people in. To see our community, but yet to meet Dwayne and learn about this benefit that's out there for these veterans and their surviving spouses.
Yeah, and you would think, Dwayne, that the VA would be standing on a mountaintop and telling people about this.
You would think, but again, I always bring up, hey, how much in their budget do they spend on their announcing and letting you know about what their benefit programs are, of the billions of dollars that go through the VA. They don't allocate money off to the side and say, hey, let's get these ads on TV, national TV, because it's a national program, saying, hey, our senior veterans, here's something that you need to know about. They're not doing that. You don't see a national promo. Hey, let's announce about aid and attendance. And then even if you know about it, what are your options? Where are you going to go? Who's going to be there for you? Because again, your options are doing it like I did all those many years ago for my mom and dad, where I said, okay, let me do it myself. And I ran into the buzzsaw of the VA system as a novice, and I was hung up in that system for 2 years. And all I got was, the information you sent us was not accurate. Could you send us more information and update us on this? And then by the time you send that in, they're saying, well, I'm sorry, sir, but the other information you sent us, that's now outdated. You need to refresh that and get this back to us again. And we'll keep, and it went on and on and on and on. So I wouldn't advise doing it on your own anymore, because that was the easy way. That was when it was only a 23-page application. So but then the other option is you can go to your local VA and they'll be happy to submit it. But again, with the local VA, and I love them. I know a lot and met a lot of them over the years and admire many of them. But when you're working with the local VA, they cannot give you legal advice. They cannot give you financial advice. They cannot give you tax advice. They can't even tell you if it's a 100% approvable application when it goes into the VA. Which we know this because, again, part of our organization, we never used to go in and represent people that had already submitted. If we said, you've already submitted, you're on your own. We start from beginning. We have our 17 secret ingredients of our secret chicken recipe, as I say, and we know how to do this and do it correctly. Well, if you're out there and somebody screwed it up before and you didn't get the benefit, we now have an option for those people to come to us, and we will pick up the case and go in and dig into it and see what happened and see if we can overturn it. It's going to cost you probably twice as much as our opening option of doing it from scratch, which is normal because we got to break the whole thing down. He's got to take over. But we're now getting calls from that. So I know this is happening out there, that people are, they go to the VA, they submit an application, only to find out 6-9 months later that they're not getting the benefit. And they've already moved into the community. And they're now saying, now, how am I going to pay the community and keep dad in the community when we were expecting this to be approved and it's not there? And so that's why we give and do our test before sending in that application to make sure that it meets our standards of being a 100% approvable application to go when it goes in. So it's not a matter of if they're going to be approved. It's just a matter of when they're going to be approved. And if they disagree with our paperwork, then they deal with John Casterline, our VA accredited, board certified elder law attorney, who has somewhere in the neighborhood of over 20,000 100% approved applications for the full benefit amount since he's been working with us. So it's like, you want to take him on? Good luck. So
Dwayne, let me
table.
ask you a question, Dwayne, in regard to, so they come to you, you advise them. How long is that process really for them?
For them on the front end, that depends on the family and their situations and how quickly they can get me the data and information to prove that case. Okay. Because again, I'm going to go in there and in my first interview and intake, I'm going to go through my questionnaire. And because everybody says, could you just send me a list and tell me what I need? No, I'm going to go through that first interview, just like a doctor or an attorney or any other professional. I'm going to find out what you have, what you don't have, what you're going to need. And then I'm going to guide you through it to say, here's what you're going to need. Go get me the documents to prove it, because those are the numbers off of those documents we're going to tell the VA, because once we submit that application, the numbers have to match what we have in that application, and their source is the VA is going to go directly to Social Security and the IRS. So we need the documents to prove everything. So how long it takes, it depends on how quickly the family can get it together to get me the pieces I need. Know how we can move forward. Now, as those pieces come together, as you put a 1,000-piece puzzle together, as you're doing that, can you see where that puzzle eventually is going? It's like, oh, that's the Eiffel Tower. I know what it is now, but until you get those pieces together, you don't know what it is. But once you get it, they get me the pieces. Now I say, now you're ready to go. Let's turn you over to the attorney. So cases I've had where I had two sisters flew in from Colorado for the weekend and got everything done and to me over the weekend and flew back out on Monday and had everything done. I've had others that I've sent them off with their little to-do list of what they need to get, and I still haven't heard back from them. So how long does it take, Pat? Somewhere in between. So, and I like the ones that are proactive, and I tell them that if you're proactive, I'm proactive. If you're there and you're not getting me the information or letting me know that you're, it's like, you know, I make it easy enough, because I tell them, hey, when you're working with me, it's a take-home open book test, and I grade on a curve. How long is it going to take you to complete your homework assignment so I can grade you and tell you whether you're going to pass or fail so we can move forward? Get me the answers. And that's why I say in my first interview, I go through, find out what they have and what they don't have. And here's a little key to my take-home open book test, grade on a curve theory. And I've perfected this over the years. After we're done with that, I'm going to send them what I lovingly call their little family to-do list. And on that, anything of the information that they have gathered and I collected during that first interview that we have no is accurate and correct will be highlighted in black and white. And the things they need to affirm and the documents they need to get will be highlighted in red and yellow. Can you figure out my color code? so they can go through, and then at any time, if they have any questions, they also have my direct cell phone number, and they call me and say, hey, Dwayne, I've got this document or that document. Which one is it you're looking for? My usual answer to that is scan them and send them both to me. And if it's the right one, I'll put it there. Take home open book test, grade on a curve. If it's supposed to be B and you answer both A and B, I'll put the right answer in, save it in your folder, and we move on to the next document. So it's, so, and again, some families, it's very simple. Here we need your Social Security statement, income statements, the discharge papers, marriage information, and bank statements, checking and savings, because that's all they have. That's an easy case. When you have others that have more complicated, more convoluted cases, it may take a little bit longer. And one of the ones that you have to work and plan on are especially the ones that they own a home. If they own a home and they're going to be moving into the community, my first concern is have you ever paid for two residents at the same time? And if the answer is no, and if they can't afford that, it's like, okay, what are we going to do with the house? Because again, as I remind people, under the VA guidelines, the primary residence is a non-countable asset. However, if they were to sell that home as you're in this process or after you've received the benefit, the proceeds from that transaction will become countable and on the radar of the VA. And if that happens, they're not going to only knock you out of the program, they may and can want all the money back. So you want to make sure when the speed at which they're putting everything together before we submit is at the right pace to time the VA and the move to Harborplace with Miss Pat. So we can say, yes, I want that apartment. Here's my security deposit. And Dwayne's going to time it. So they're moving in and we're submitting the VA application all at the same time because we have to do that because part of the paperwork, as you well know, Miss Pat, is there's an affidavit that the community signs attesting to the VA that they are residing in the community and getting the services that are required by the VA. So we have to try and time it all at the same time. So when they start with me, we're starting the clock for you as well to keep them in class and in session with Dwayne. Have you talked to Dwayne? Have you got him everything he needs? Because we need to move it. So that's how we work.
I've got a question.
Sorry, gotta go. I'm sorry, I booked another.
Oh, yes. Dealing with the feds as we do. And once they approve it,
yep.
Is it actually approved or does it take 60 to 90 days after it's approved to actually go through?
No, once they know you are approved and it has gone through all 5 of the departments that it has to go through, then on the last department is the authorization. And at that point, what was done is they would send out an announcement letter to the family announcing, hey, keep an eye out because you're going to see a deposit in your checking account. Because when we do this, we're providing the checking account that the money will be deposited directly into. Well, it's now at the point that they have gotten caught up electronically that I am actually getting calls from people that have been approved and they're noticing the money in their account before they even get the letter from the VA. So once you're approved, that money is direct deposited. So now if you have 6 months of back money that is owed, you got 6 months worth of benefit money directly deposited into your account. And that's why it catches the eyes of the people keeping an eye on the checking account. It's like, wait a minute, we just got 13 grand dropped in our checking account. What's that all about? So it gets your attention. So.
Well, and I had someone ask me after they heard you last week, is there a similar COLA with the veterans benefits that they have with Social Security?
Yes, there is, as a matter of fact. And they are adjusted exactly the same way. When there is a COLA 2-year Social Security benefits, there is also a COLA adjustment of the same amount to the VA benefit. That's why every year that benefit amount will go up. And that's also attributed and works in conjunction with the VA asset limit that is in play now under the new guidelines will also increase based on that COLA amount. So the amount of 150,500 and change is the amount for this year, but come January, that amount will go up based on the COLA increase as well as the benefit amount. But that's a nice question. Most people don't ask that. They just want the money. So, yeah, now that's actually why when we're doing this planning, one of the documents we need, and most people come to us with the 1099 for Social Security. No, we want the COLA letter. We need the COLA letter, the most current COLA letter, because that's what the VA is looking at and considering. They're looking forward and current, not past. The 1099 is pros. They want to know what do you got now, and then they'll keep up with your income going forward, because they do audit and look at these accounts as they go through them. And if they see that, hey, there's a situation where your income to medical expenses ratios has flipped based on what's reported to the IRS or others, they can take and adjust the benefit. And where we notice that here, and that's why I consider the COLA in my calculations doing this, because we had a lot of let's say alarms going up here last year when we got that 7.8% cost of living adjustment. Well, a lot of our clients got a letter from the VA without even looking at it, without getting any clarification on the rest of the picture. They went out and they started sending letters to our some of our clients saying, hey, based on that increase, you may no longer be qualified for this benefit. We need you to, because they were thinking, okay, it's that now they had too much income and they were disqualified based on a cost of living adjustment.
Wow.
Well, what they didn't understand, again, it's an income to medical expense ratio, as I tell everybody, and I've had the discussion many times, even with VA offices. Good luck. It's an income to medical expense because you have to look at your offsetting medical expenses. Because yes, your Social Security went up 7.8%, but how are we doing on inflation out there, folks? Didn't the cost of everything else go up? Well,
Yes.
if you look at the ratios, you're still negative. You didn't lose the benefit, but everybody panicked, thinking, "Oh my God, I might," And I said, "Did your rent go up? Did your this go up?" Yeah, that all went up. Don't worry about it. But it sent a panic through our audience out there across the country that we had to respond to and tell them to calm down. Don't worry about it. You're not going to be kicked out of your apartment, because some of them, without this benefit, they can't live there. And if the VA stops his benefit, they're in trouble, So we were right there to make sure, hey, let's calm everybody down, put the word out there. Hey, they call, here's what's going on, here's how we're going to respond, because that's what we do. The VA has knee-jerk reactions. We take calm and proper legal response and how we handle it under the guidance and tutelage of John Castellan. So he tells us, okay, here's what's going on. He gets the word out to us and says, hey, everybody, here's what you need to do. This is what's happening. This is what we see. Call your clients, let them know. So there's no panic out there, as I got before I knew those letters were being announced. Because Social Security didn't call me and said, hey, we're going to send all your clients this letter. And it almost gave some of them a heart attack. And it's like, no, I had to call them, calm down. You're okay. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We got you. And but I love my job.
So what is the actual, I guess, monetary line, if you will, of how much money, I guess, you can actually be making from Social Security before this can kick in?
Well, if you're asking how much income can you have before you can get the benefit?
Right.
Well, again, you're one of the novice out there, my friend. Again, it's an income to medical expense ratio. Because here's how I always like to explain it. When you pay your federal taxes, do you pay your taxes on the gross amount of income that you have coming in? Or do you take your offsetting expenses and deductions and then pay your taxes on the lower amount?
Lower amount.
That's exactly the way the VA works. We're going to look at your gross amount of income, and I always break it down nice and simple to your monthly income from all sources. And again, I mean all sources, because if there's a 1099 out there, that's a source. That's going to the IRS. They're going to know about it. We need to know about it, and we need a document to prove it. So you have to total all of the gross amount of income from all sources, not just Social Security, And that is your high watermark that you now have to overcome with your offsetting qualified deductible medical expenses, which the VA says are defined as the out-of-pocket, non-reimbursed, reoccurring medical expenses. What did he just say? What? What are those, Dwayne? Well, your starter kit starts with number one, your Medicare Part B premium that they take out of that Social Security check, which is on the COLA letter. Oh, look, we just got your gross amount of Social Security in one of your first deductions by having that one document. That's why we ask for it. So, and any other deductions that are taken out will be also on that document. And so they're looking at the COLA, and then they're looking at your supplemental and premiums for insurance, Blue Cross, Blue Shield, Humana, AARP, if it's a monthly or quarterly reoccurring expense. If you have another premium for your Part D, that's another one. And there's a few others along the way. But the big ticket items is if you're residing in a licensed care community such as Harborplace, and your doctor attests through the documentation that, hey, you need to be in the safe and protected environment of that community and getting the assistances with the activities of daily living that the VA requires, either bathing assist, dressing assist, continuity care, transitioning in and out of beds and chairs, actual assistance with dining, which does not include going down to those beautiful dining rooms, but actually means you need somebody to help cut up your food and consume it. And then also ambulating, which means not only do you have to walk with a cane or a walker, but you also need somebody walking alongside of you to get from your room to your dining room. But once you add two of those in under the doctor's order that he says you need to be there, and you need these two activities of daily living, now, and once he signs that, that legally becomes a prescription. But instead of taking it to the CVS or the Walgreens, you take it over to Miss Pat and says, hey, my doctor says I need to be in a safe and protected environment, and I need the activities of daily living to go along with that. And she accommodates you in giving you a nice room and board and the people to take care of you and take the burden off the family. And once they do that, that entire number becomes accountable deductible medical expense. And in 99.99% of the cases, that'll flip your income to medical expense ratio to qualify you on that part. So then the next hurdle is the asset end, which is again where we help them with our knowledge and experience.
And
does that answer it?
Again, you mentioned last week about this, you have to be in the military, received a discharge. So this would not affect even us civilians who may have worked in a war zone, this program would not work for them.
No, the only exception to that rule that I know, and I had the pleasure of helping a couple of them, were the merchant Marines during World War II. Because they were out there and they were getting sunk, and they had our ships around them to protect them. So they have are also included other than our 5 branches of service, but no, in this case, you had to serve in active military duty, so to qualify.
What about Coast Guard? Are they included in
yes.
this?
Oh, yeah, that's what I say. Yeah, the Coast Guard is Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, because they were on duty as well.
Awesome.
Sitting there in the bunkers along the coastline, looking for submarines of German descent.
Sure. And Pat, when are we going to be able to hear Dwayne at Harborplace?
He is coming next week, Thursday, October 12th at 1:30. Please give us a call to RSVP at 772-337-4330.
All right.
Miss Pat, keep me advised of that head count so I make sure I got enough material for everybody and extras so they can go out and tell their neighbors and friends about it, because that's how we're going to get word out about it. So I want to make sure I have enough for everybody. So if we have one of them Swifty events over there, we may have to get a couple of more reams of paper going. So
So Dwayne, tell me, would you advise a veteran to come with a family member?
oh, I always do, because again, as I've learned going through this, they're going to need help and assistance with this, because if it's just them, it's overwhelming. I know what, because I saved my mom and dad the mercy of it. But my dad, before he passed away at 101, said to me, Dwayne, is it worth it? And because we were in it for about a year and a half at that point, and I said, you don't understand, just talk to your wife, my mother, and she'll tell you, just tell Dwayne something can't get done and get out of his way, because he will not stop until he proves you wrong. And that's the attitude I took going after the VA to get my dad his well-deserved benefits. But no, it's what was the question again? I get off on my dad and I forget where I'm at. It's so emotional.
It's about a veteran or surviving spouse bringing a relative, a son, a daughter.
Yeah, and again, like me, it's easier because again, my dad couldn't do it. So it's like, and it can be grueling for some of them. And again, what we're doing with and moving into the 21st and a half century, a lot of what I'm doing is via email and doing things electronic, where we need the families, instead of, hey, where can I meet you to give you the documents? No. Can you scan it and email it to me in a PDF format? You send it to me. I'll correct your paper right there on the spot. And if it's the right one, I'll put it in your folder and I'll let you know, hey, and if it's the wrong one, I'll call you and say, hey, that's the wrong one. We need the other one. So, but everything, they need to have some computer abilities, which is why next Thursday, I've got one of our little peeps from Harborplace that is working with me now, and she doesn't have a computer. So I'm saying, okay, come meet me over here at Harborplace, and she's going to be one of our little peeps filling the seat there next Thursday. But she's going to come with the documents so we can accommodate her until we get some family member involved, because eventually, once the attorney takes over, he's up in Michigan, because I am, again, not VA accredited. The attorney is, and he has his team take over, and they're going to be corresponding via email. So we need people that are literate in the 21st and a half century technology somewhat. So so family members, please come. It's going to help, and it's going to make it a whole lot easier on the family, period, the end, because but yeah, absolutely. So make more cookies, Miss Pat.
I will.
And I don't know what want to know what flavor surprised me. So
I will.
Okay. So but yeah. So anyway, no, I always say, because again, this program is for our senior wartime veterans and their surviving spouses. Which is, again, I'll hit on that because that's a key one, because it's not for the widows, but the surviving spouses as defined. They had to have been married to the veteran for at least 1 calendar year, married to him at the time of his passing, and not remarried since. So if you were married to a veteran and he went on and he married 2 other women, don't call. A nice try. So, but because again, I've had cases where I had two such situations, that it was 2 women that came to me, and they were both married to 3 veterans over their lifetime, and they were all 3 wartime veterans. Oh. The difference was the last one, the one was married to him for at least a calendar year, married to him at the time of his passing, and not remarried since. We were able to apply for her, but the other one, that she divorced that last husband and could not qualify. And she said, "Can I go back to the other husband?" No, you cannot. It's the last one you were in there. So be careful, women. My potential surviving spouses out there, before you file divorce, you may be giving up something you didn't know you had.
So Dwayne, what is the amount that a surviving spouse could qualify for?
Well, Very good question. So, no, that would be this current year, which again will go up in with the COLA, but it's a current amount of annually $17,192, which breaks down to $1,432 per month to help you pay to live in that beautiful community of Harbor Place. So, and if you were looking at a veteran by himself, they could get up a little over 26,000, or the equivalent of $2,229 of tax-free money to help live in that beautiful community. And if we're fortunate enough to be living with and working with a veteran and his spouse that can qualify, that's over $31,000 per year, or the amount of $2,642 a month for the rest of your life, as long as you're qualified. So it can make a very, very big difference in the affordability and protection of their care going forward. So
Absolutely.
because that's one of the things I hear on my end is when people contact me and they've spoken to you and the other communities and everything, and they're calling me and they heard about this and they're saying, I need to look into this because I don't know if I can afford this community without it. Well, how are you going to do it if you don't know about it? Yeah. Thank you for putting the word out, Miss Pat. Thank you for hosting this seminar and getting us back out there to get this word about this benefit out there, because again, the COVID thing shut us down and it slowed everything down. And it also happened at the same time that they were transitioning from the old regulations to the new regulations. So it was even harder to get the word out that, hey, people, things are changing. You need to stay in touch. And I look forward to finally getting out there and having my soapbox to get on top of and get the word back out there and let them know, hey, this benefit is available. And whether you're working with me or somebody, but if you're not working with me, you're working anyway. But we bring, again, more knowledge and experience out there because we've been doing this for well over 25 years. And as you can tell, I'm a wealth of knowledge and I'm giving it away for free. Because it doesn't cost you anything unless and until I say, hey, it's a go. Now you're going to go back and you're going to engage the services of John Castelline. He's going to pick up from there and take over as the VA guy. I'm just the guy that's here to educate, teach them, and make sure they get through my take-home open book test so I can graduate them to get the next step. But until then, they get me for free. Could you imagine? So,
And Dwayne, how do folks get in touch with you?
well, call somebody else. No, quite simple. It's my one and only electric leash that is available 24/7. It is. I'm not, but if you call and you leave a voicemail, you will get a call back. Try that with the VA, but let's test that test and call me at 772-342-4677. And again, if I'm not available and on the other line, because I give my clients all the time to speak. So if you call in, leave a voicemail, you will get a call back. If you just hang up, if the phone don't ring, you'll know it's me. So, but,
and the name of the organization again?
I work for the organization is known as Claim Support for Veterans. And you can find our information at the same place of claimsupportforveterans.com. If you need to, there's a wealth of information there. You can go on there. You can actually go in and you can click on the start page. You can scroll down. There's a little video in there featuring John Castelline himself explaining how the benefit program works, what we're looking for, and a lot of how the program is going to fit together. And in fact, a lot of times that's where I send my clients. I tell them, go to the website, watch the video, and then if you want us to take a look at your situation, pros, cons, good or bad, there's another place on there. You can click to get more information, what to do next. You click on that, put in some basic contact information, put my name in there or your phone number so they know it's coming from this area. It'll go up to the home office. They'll send it to me. When I get it within 1 business day, I will be on the phone calling the client and saying, okay, here I am. What can I do to help you? What do you got? What don't you have? Let's start putting this case together. Let's start working. Because school is in order and the classroom is in session. So that's as easy as it is.
Pat, how many of your folks, your guests at Harborplace have managed to take advantage of this program over the years with Dwayne?
Oh, gosh, I would have to say at least a dozen or so. It's hard to count.
Yeah, more than that, I know.
Yeah, it's actually
back in the old days.
So.
Back in the old days when we were doing it,
Yeah.
we would put that many in within a short period of time.
Yeah.
Now we put hundreds of, if not, I know, because some of them you may not even know are there that are getting it. But over the years, I well over 1,000 or close to 2,000. I don't know. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that are in there. There's some now that just got approved and they're living because they started working with me. We put a plan together and they're now there. So,
yes.
Yeah. And also there's others that again, that we can attest to. They came to me and and we tested the waters for them. And I said, based on where we're at right now, if you were to submit under the guidelines, not only would you be denied, you would be penalized for the next 3 years and not be able to get the benefit. So I told them not to do that, but I gave them a plan so they can continue to move forward, move into the community, live with Miss Pat until we can get their financial house in order. And then we could submit in the future to turn on the VA benefit for him and his beautiful bride. So we got a plan as we transition, because that's the other thing with working with us. I'm not here to give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I'm here to give you a plan for your future. I'm here to say, hey, maybe you're not qualified right now, but here's what you need to do to get there. And when this happens, here's what you need to do. And so I give them a game plan so we know, because I don't want them to, most people come to me and they say, hey, I've been told I'm not eligible. Well, that's a temporary condition and those change. And if we can keep track and give you a plan to watch and take advantage of that and use that to your advantage, not take advantage, use it to your advantage because it's your right. Let's do that. And I give them a plan to do that. So that's the plan that we're doing for that family that is there. We're setting them up. So in 3 years and 1 day from now, they need the benefit. We're going to be ready to submit. That's the game plan. So I'm just not a one-trick pony out there. So. But and as I say, each one is unique in their challenge, because as I've always said, once we have an original or a certified, now even at this point since COVID, this is the advantage. If we have a clean, legible copy of the DD 214, the discharge papers, we can work with that now. Okay, we don't have to have the original or certified. We need a good, clean copy. We can work with that. But as I tell people, once we have the discharge papers, it basically levels the playing field. It does not matter whether you were a buck private and you were in there for 91 days or you retired 40 years or later as a full bird colonel. It now comes down to income, medical expenses, and assets. And we have never seen 2 cases that have identical income, medical expenses, and assets. It's impossible. It can't happen. That's why we custom build that package for that family. I need to know all of their income and how that fits in, what all their assets are and how that, because again, the VA is looking at income, medical expenses, and assets, but they break it down even further. There's countable income, non-countable income, countable medical, non-countable medical, countable assets, and non-countable assets. And if those are not arranged properly, you're not going to get the benefit. Well, I'm going to help you, give you a plan to say, hey, do you want to, you're not there yet, but do you want to arrange them properly so we can move forward? That's what I'm going to give you a game plan for. Or I'm going to look at it and say, hey, you've got everything we need. Let's go ahead and let's move forward. Let's submit the application. Call Ms. Pat, tell them that unit you put on hold. We're putting the deposit down because we're ready to move forward. And we got the comfort to know we can submit this application and live, to know that, hey, it's not a matter of if you're going to get the benefit. It's just a matter of when the VA is going to give you that benefit. That's what I try and do. So much like as I compare my former career as a real estate appraiser, which started as a snot-nosed little 23-year-old kid as a real estate agent. When I got my first license, my license to be an agent, I was so excited. I was out celebrating having a few now adult cocktails because I was of age, so nobody was mad at me. But I ran into a very nice couple that got married at that time. And we were sitting there together and we were celebrating their marriage and me, my new job and everything. And they said, oh, yeah, we're looking for a house. And I'm a real estate agent. So I hooked up with them and I went out there and I showed them all kinds of houses, drove them all over Pompano Beach, Fort Lauderdale, into Boca, and came back after my little journey. And at the back of the office was the seasoned veteran. He's done this all his life, and he's over there with his feet up on his desk, and he's looking at me, and he's got a kind of a little smirk on his face, and he looks up at me and he says, Dwayne, he says, you've been out there showing a lot of houses, huh? I said, yes, sir. He says, yeah. So you find anything they like? And I said, yeah, Bill, I did. I showed them some really nice houses, got them really, really excited. He says, yeah, I got one question for you. Did you get them pre-qualified? I said, what? He said, did you find out if they can afford it? So, and the light went on. It's like, yeah, of course they loved everything I was showing them because it was above their affordability. It's like I'm showing them these waterfront properties over there, and of course they love it. Could they afford it? No, they couldn't. That's the way I approach doing what I do. When the people come to me and saying, hey, I'd like to be able to move into Harborplace, my question is, let's look at it. Because everybody says, can you get me the benefit? I want to look at it and say, hey, not only can I get you the benefit, but it's going to make sure that you can afford to live in Harborplace, not only just to move in, but to live there for many, many years to come. As a good friend of ours that Miss Pat knows that lived there for many years, Mr. Bill, that I mentioned from time to time, that he and his bride combined were there for over 10 years because he started with us before they even moved in. They sat down with me, they developed a plan, and when I gave them the go, they came to you and said, we want the room. But we had a plan before they moved into the community, and they were there for over 10 years and collected well over $250,000 of tax-free money from the VA. That's a beautiful plan. That's what I try and do. Let's not just get you into the program, not just get you into the benefit, into the community, but let's make sure we have a plan for your mom, your dad, for today, tomorrow, and into the future. Because we may end up, in other situations where, hey, they're running out of money. We need to know about the Medicaid diversion program that is out there in some communities. That comes in play with the VA. Medicaid in itself comes into play. Where are you going to get that advice? Where are you going to get that advice? You're not going to get it from the VA because, again, they can't get legal advice, tax advice, financial advice. You want to go to an overpriced attorney and spend thousands of dollars so they can build a trust and all this other stuff. And sometimes that's necessary. And I agree with that. But if you want to know just about aid and attendance, there's only one attorney that I know with the team that can help you better than anybody else out there, because we've been doing it for well over 25 years. And that's the team I'm working with. That's what we bring to the table. We bring it all. I think with my knowledge and my background, again, as it started as an agent, but I ended up, not to brag, as into 4 decades as a duly nationally designated RMSRA real estate appraiser. And I valued everything from a postage stamp lot to golf course communities and everything else in between. Testified in every court on the Treasure Coast as an expert witness, including U.S. bankruptcy court, and I never lost a case. Does that indicate I'm a little thorough? Am I a little festive, particular? Yeah, but that's who I am. I'm a Capricorn. I can't help it, and that's why I say I love it when people send me information and they put in, they just don't round to the nearest dollar. They put numbers to the right of the decimal point. I love it because that's exactly what the VA is looking for. They are that detailed. I tell you, when you're submitting to the IRS, you can round to the nearest dollar. And I see my accountant doing that, sometimes favorably, some not in my favor. And it's done all the time. With the VA, they want to know exactly to the penny. Otherwise, they're going to hang your case up. So that's why I'm there to protect them. Hey, send me the document. We need to know what it says so it matches the paperwork. But it's each one is unique and different, and it's a new challenge. And I love it. It's like a big, as I say, it's like a jigsaw puzzle that you got to put all the pieces together and say, what do we got now? What am I looking at? How do we work with this? And
Pat, once again, when is Dwayne going to visit Harborplace?
Thursday, October 12th at 1:30. Please call, and RSVP seating is limited. So the number is 772-337-4330. And don't forget about our buffet on Halloween. Please call and RSVP for that. Come enjoy a spooktacular brunch.
I love it. And Dwayne, how do folks get in touch with you again?
Again, my direct electric leash is at 772-342-4677. Give a ring, and if you get the voicemail, please leave a message. I will get back to you. So I look forward to it and helping and guiding you. And if you're out there, please come again to the seminar there. Because I may not go into specific detail with each family, but in generality, I'll be sure you get the answers you're looking for, because that's our job, is to answer the questions so you can make an informed, educated decision as you plan your future and your care.
And after the formal seminar is over, I mean, you'll be available to answer one-on-one questions from relatives?
As soon as I raid the cookie table.
Don't get in the way of Dwayne and the cookies.
As soon as I call it an end, let me go have a couple of cookies and a hot cup of coffee, and then have at me. You know, bring them on. So, is challenge the expert. I love it. So
that sounds great. That really does. And Pat, hats off to you as well. And Harborplace, and you guys, you mean so much for the community. It's hard to describe, and we can't thank you enough. And again, you're getting the word out for things like this aid in attendance. It's wonderful.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, well,
Thanks,
both
Dwayne.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Miss Pat. Look forward to seeing you soon. We'll
Absolutely.
chat. Keep me apprised.
And both Dwayne and Pat will be there on the 12th at Harborplace. And boy, interesting information from Dwayne Lebec. ClaimSupportForVeterans.com. And that does it for this edition of Never Alone from Harborplace on WPSL Port St. Lucie. Talk of the Treasure Coast. Webcaster to the world, serving 44 countries.